All right, so we're prepping for a notary interview today.
Okay.
We've got a whole bunch of resources, actually.
Oh, cool.
We've got career guides, sample interview questions,
Yeah.
even some AI insights to, make sure you just really nail this thing. And
Awesome.
kind of, think of this as like your cheat sheet to acing that notary interview.
I like it.
So are you ready to kind of dive in and see what we can find?
Yeah, let's do it.
Perfect.
Notaries, they're super important nowadays, especially with, all the electronic documents we have floating around.
Right.
It's all about trust and making sure things are legit.
Exactly. And you know what's really fascinating to me is it's not just about, stamping and signing documents.
Right.
Did you know that notaries can also officiate weddings?
I did know that
They
actually.
have a really versatile role.
It is, yeah. And one of the things that's really cool about this career is just the flexibility that it offers.
Okay.
You could be working in a traditional setting like a law firm or a bank,
Hmm.
or even run your own freelance business from home.
So, okay, let's say you're sitting in that interview chair, right?
Okay.
What are some of those curveball questions that they might throw at you?
Yeah, so here's one that comes up a lot. Tell me about a time you had to deal with a difficult client or situation.
Hmm. That's always a tricky one.
Yeah,
It sounds like they're trying to gauge, how you handle pressure, how you deal with conflict.
exactly. Yeah, spot on. They want to see those problem-solving skills in action.
Okay.
You know how you can stay professional when things get a little bit tough.
So how do you approach that without, sounding like you're complaining about past clients or anything like that?
Yeah, that's a good point. The key is to really focus on the positive.
Okay.
So, briefly describe the situation,
Hmm.
highlight the challenge, what steps you took to resolve it,
Okay.
and then what was the positive outcome.
Got it.
What did you learn from that experience?
Yeah.
So it's really about showcasing your resilience
Mhm.
and, that ability to turn a difficult situation into a learning opportunity.
So it's almost like instead of dwelling on the negative, you're showing them, hey, I can handle these tough situations and, I can learn from it.
Exactly.
Do you have any examples that come to mind?
Yeah, definitely. So let's say a client was frustrated because the notarization process was taking longer than expected.
Okay.
You can remain calm, address their concerns patiently, and then ultimately, you know, complete the notarization successfully.
Yeah.
You can even mention that the experience kind of reinforced the importance of clear communication and managing client expectations.
That's a really good example
Ah,
because it shows that you can stay professional even when you're under pressure.
yeah,
I bet they won't just stop there, though.
probably not.
What kind of follow-up questions might they ask you?
Yeah, so they might ask something like, how do you ensure you stay impartial and unbiased when notarizing documents, especially in emotionally charged situations?
So this really gets to the heart of, a notary's ethical responsibility.
Exactly, and here's where you can really shine. Explain that you understand the importance of remaining neutral, that you carefully review each document,
Right.
and only proceed if everything is in order.
Okay.
You can even mention that you would consult with your state's notary regulating body if you had any doubts at all.
Wow.
It shows that you're not just going through the motions,
It's
you're
not-
really committed to doing things by the book.
It's not just a job, it's like a responsibility.
Exactly.
I'm curious, are there any questions they might ask about, the actual notarization process?
For sure.
After all, you're going to be handling a lot of important documents.
Yeah, they might ask you something like, walk me through the steps you take to verify a signer's identity.
Okay, so now your attention to detail is really important.
Yeah,
You need to show them you're not just going to, glance at a driver's license and call it a day.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You want to lay out the steps clearly.
Okay.
So, mention that you carefully examine those government-issued photo IDs.
Mm-hmm.
Check the expiration dates, make sure the security features are all there. Right.
And, really make sure that photo matches the person that's in front of you.
Yeah.
You can even mention how you would handle maybe unusual situations, like if an ID was damaged or something like that.
Oh, that's smart.
Shows you're thinking ahead and prepared for anything.
It's like saying, hey, I'm not just going to rubber stamp this. I'm going to make sure everything's legit and I've thought about, the what ifs.
Exactly. Now, here's where RoleCatcher's AI can come in and really be helpful.
Okay.
Imagine you could practice your answer to this question,
Mm-hmm.
record yourself,
Okay.
and then have AI analyze your response and point out any steps you might have missed
Oh,
or any areas where you could be more specific.
that's like having a virtual coach there with you,
Exactly.
making sure you've covered all the bases.
It helps tailor your answer to the specific requirements of that role
Yeah.
and make sure that you're presenting yourself as a thorough and detail-oriented candidate.
I love how RoleCatcher takes all that guesswork out of it.
Right.
It's like a secret weapon. Totally.
Okay, so let's keep those interview questions rolling.
Okay.
What else might they throw at you?
All right, so let's think about this. They might want to test your knowledge of the legal side of things.
Okay.
So they could ask you something like, how do you stay up to date on changes in notary laws and regulations?
So it's not enough to just know the rules today.
Right.
You've got to show them that you're committed to, staying current.
Exactly. And this is where you can really highlight your proactive approach to learning.
Mm-hmm.
Mention some specific resources that you use, like maybe professional journals,
Okay.
industry websites, continuing education courses.
Oh, yeah.
If you're a member of any professional notary associations, definitely mention that.
I like that.
It shows you're really plugged into the community and serious about your craft.
It's like you're saying, hey, the learning doesn't stop once I get this job. I'm going to continue to, stay on top of my game.
For sure.
What kind of follow-up question do you think they might ask there?
Yeah, so building on that, they might ask you, can you tell me about a recent change in notary law that you found particularly significant and how you adapted your practice to comply with it?
Oh, so they want to see that you're not just reading about these changes.
Yeah.
You're actually applying that knowledge in real life.
Exactly. So you're going to want to choose a specific example.
Okay.
Explain the change, and then walk them through the steps you took to make sure you were in compliance.
Got it.
Shows you're proactive, detail-oriented, and, always striving to do things the right way.
It really showcases your commitment to that ethical practice.
Mm-hmm.
Before we move on, I want to touch on something else that's really important for anyone going into an interview, and that's confidence.
Yes.
I mean, confidence comes from preparation.
Absolutely, and that's where RoleCatcher can be a huge help.
I was just thinking that. Imagine being able to practice your answers and get that AI-powered feedback,
Yeah.
and even tailor your resume to perfectly match that job description.
It's amazing.
Talk about a confidence booster.
It is. It's like having a personal interview coach right in your pocket.
Okay, so let's dive back into these interview questions. I think we have a couple more here that I want to kind of cover.
Yeah, that's good.
What else might they ask about, your skills and your experience?
Yeah, so a very common question that you'll probably get is, what are your greatest strengths as a notary public?
Now, this one seems pretty straightforward,
Yeah.
but I feel like there's more to it than just saying, I'm organized or I'm detail-oriented.
Right. It's not enough to just list those generic strengths. You really want to connect them to the specific requirements of that role.
Okay.
So, think about the qualities that really make a great notary, meticulous attention to detail, a strong understanding of those legal principles,
Right.
excellent communication skills, and then, an unwavering commitment to that ethical practice.
Yeah.
So choose strengths that really align with those qualities and back them up with, some concrete examples from your experience.
So instead of just saying I'm detail-oriented, you could say something like,
Yeah, like, one of my greatest strengths is my meticulous attention to detail. In my previous role, I was responsible for reviewing hundreds of documents each week.
okay.
And I developed a system for, cross-checking information and identifying even the slightest discrepancies.
Right.
This ensured that every document I notarized was accurate and legally sound.
Boom.
Yeah.
That's much stronger.
Yeah, you're not just telling them, you're showing them.
Exactly. And here's another tip. Use action verbs to describe your strengths.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Instead of saying, I'm good at communication,
Right.
you could say, I effectively communicate complex information in a clear and concise way.
I love it.
Makes those strengths more impactful and memorable.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I know this one is coming, so let's just tackle it head on.
Okay.
The dreaded weakness question.
Uh-oh.
How do you answer that without, completely sabotaging yourself?
Right. You want to choose a weakness that is real but not a deal breaker for the role. So frame it as an area where you're actively working to improve.
Okay.
And provide specific examples of the steps you're taking to address it.
For example?
Yeah, so you could say something like, sometimes I can get so focused on ensuring accuracy that I can be a little bit slow in completing tasks. However, I'm aware of this, and I've been working on techniques to improve my efficiency without sacrificing quality. I've recently implemented a time management system that allows me to prioritize tasks and allocate my time effectively.
So you're acknowledging the weakness,
Yes.
but you're also showing them that you are proactive and committed to self-improvement.
Exactly.
It's like you're turning a negative into a positive.
Yeah, it demonstrates self-awareness and a willingness to learn and grow.
Okay, let's keep rolling with these interview questions.
Okay.
I'm feeling more confident already.
Awesome.
What's next?
All right, so let's say they want to assess your judgment a little bit
Okay.
and see how you would handle a tricky situation. So they might ask something like, what steps would you take if you suspected a document was fraudulent or if you had concerns about a signer's capacity to sign?
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
It is.
It's not just about knowing the process.
Right.
It's about understanding those ethical implications.
Absolutely. And this is where you can really showcase your commitment to doing things the right way.
Okay.
So begin by explaining that you would carefully examine the document, looking for any signs of forgery or alteration.
Okay.
Mention that you'd pay close attention to the signer's behavior.
Like if they seem confused or pressured.
Exactly. And
Right.
then emphasize that you would never notarize a document if you had any doubts about it.
Right.
You would politely decline and explain your concerns to the parties that are involved. You could even mention that you would consult with legal counsel or your state's notary regulating body for guidance.
That shows that you're not afraid to stand up for what's right, even if it means, delaying the process.
Yeah, it's about protecting yourself and the integrity of the notarization process.
Okay, so we've talked about difficult clients, identity verification, staying up to date on those laws,
Right.
even what to do if you suspect fraud.
Yeah.
What other situations might they throw at you in an interview?
Yeah, they might want to see how you would handle clients. Especially those who might be unfamiliar with the whole notarization process.
Okay.
So they could ask something like, how do you ensure that your clients feel comfortable and confident during the notarization process, especially if they are unfamiliar with the procedures?
So it's not just about being a stickler for the rules.
Right.
It's about that customer service aspect.
Exactly.
Making people feel at ease.
This is where you can really highlight your interpersonal skills
Okay.
and your ability to provide excellent customer service.
So how do you approach this without sounding like you're reading from a, customer service manual?
Yeah, you want to start by explaining that you would introduce yourself and your role as a notary, and then briefly explain the notarization process in simple terms.
Kind of demystifying it for them.
Exactly. You want to create a welcoming and informative atmosphere.
Right.
So, mention that you'd be patient and answer any questions that they have. You can even mention that you'd be mindful of those nonverbal cues, adjusting your communication style to make sure that client feels comfortable.
So it's about that clear communication, patience, and building rapport. Are there any common mistakes that people make that they should try to avoid?
Yeah, definitely avoid using any overly technical language or legal jargon.
Right.
Remember, your goal is to make the process as clear and accessible as possible.
Okay.
And then, of course, avoid coming across as rushed or impatient.
Right.
Even if you've performed thousands of notarizations, each client deserves your full attention and respect.
It's about treating each client like they're the only one that matters.
Exactly.
Welcome back to the show. I was thinking about how crucial confidentiality is in this role.
Oh, for sure.
It's like the foundation of, being a notary.
Absolutely. Yeah. Interviewers are definitely going to want to, kind of dig into that a little bit.
Okay.
They might ask you something like, describe a time when you had to maintain confidentiality in a challenging situation.
So it's a classic tell me about a time question.
Yeah.
But, that notary twist.
Right.
What are they really looking for here?
They really want to see that you understand the weight of confidentiality,
Okay.
that you have the integrity to uphold it even when things get tough. It's about showing that you're trustworthy and that you take those ethical obligations seriously.
So how do you answer that without, actually revealing any confidential information?
Right. Yeah, it's a fine line.
Yeah.
But it's about choosing a situation that showcases your commitment to confidentiality without spilling those secrets.
Okay.
So you could talk about a time when you were asked to disclose information about a client or a transaction.
But you politely declined, explaining the importance of protecting that sensitive data.
Got it.
And focus on those principles that you upheld and the actions that you took to maintain that confidentiality.
So it's less about the specifics of the situation
Yeah,
and more about, how you handled it,
exactly.
showcasing that commitment to ethical behavior. What are some things to avoid when answering this question?
Yeah. So definitely don't make light of confidentiality or dismiss its importance.
Okay.
Avoid vague generalizations. You want to be specific about the challenge that you faced,
Right.
the steps that you took to ensure confidentiality.
Got it.
And of course, never reveal any actual confidential information.
Right. It's about, walking that line between being specific, but also, protecting that sensitive information.
Yeah.
This is where I feel like RoleCatcher's AI could be really helpful.
Oh, absolutely.
Imagine being able to practice your answer,
Mm-hmm.
record yourself.
Right. And then have the AI analyze your video and flag any potential breaches of confidentiality in your wording.
It's like having a virtual ethics coach right there with you.
That's amazing.
It helps you fine-tune your responses.
Yeah.
And ensure that you're, coming across as a truly trustworthy professional.
It's like a safety net,
Mm-hmm.
making sure you don't accidentally reveal anything that you shouldn't.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit
Okay.
and talk about technology.
Okay.
The career guide mentioned electronic notarization as this growing trend.
Mm-hmm.
I bet interviewers are going to want to know your thoughts on that.
For sure. You're right on the mark.
Yeah.
They might ask you, what is your experience with electronic notarization, and how do you see this technology impacting the future of the notary profession?
Okay, so it's kind of like a two-part question there.
It is, yeah.
First, they're checking your familiarity with, electronic notarization.
Mm-hmm.
But even if you haven't used, specific software or anything yet, you can still ace this part.
Absolutely. You can demonstrate that you understand the basics of electronic notarization,
Okay.
the legal requirements, the potential benefits and challenges.
Yeah.
It shows that you're interested in staying current
Right.
and adapting to those new technologies.
And then the second part is all about looking ahead,
Right.
how you see, this technology shaping the future.
Exactly. They want to see that you're, thinking critically and embracing innovation. So express your enthusiasm for learning new skills.
Yeah.
And, adapting to that changing landscape.
Okay.
Talk about how electronic notarization could increase efficiency,
Right.
reduce costs,
Mm.
maybe even expand access to notary services.
Yeah.
Those are all things that they're looking for.
I can see how RoleCatcher could be incredibly helpful here.
Oh, for sure.
You can use it to research trends in, electronic notarization, maybe even find online courses or certifications to boost your skills.
Exactly. It's all about showing that you're forward-thinking and ready to embrace that future of the profession.
Okay. Are you ready for some scenario-based questions?
Ooh.
Bring it on.
These can be a little bit more challenging, I feel like.
Yeah, they are a little tricky.
Because it
Yeah.
really tests your judgment and your problem-solving skills.
Yeah.
So what kind of scenarios might they throw my way?
Okay, so let's say they present you with this situation. A signer presents a document that appears to have been altered. What would you do?
Wow, that's a tough one.
Yeah, it's a real-life ethical dilemma.
It's not just about following the steps.
Right.
It's about knowing when to say no.
Exactly. And you need to demonstrate that you wouldn't just, ignore the issue or blindly proceed with the notarization.
Okay.
So start by explaining that, you would politely express your concerns to the signer,
Mm-hmm.
pointing out the apparent alteration,
Yeah.
and explaining that you can't notarize a document that, seems tampered with.
So you're being cautious, protecting yourself?
But you're also being respectful of the client.
Exactly. You could even suggest that they consult with legal counsel to address the issue.
Right.
It shows that you're taking the situation seriously and you're acting with integrity.
What are some things not to do in this situation?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I can imagine it'd be easy to overstep boundaries.
Right, don't accuse the signer of wrongdoing or jump to conclusions.
Okay.
You want to stay neutral and professional,
Got it.
and then avoid offering legal advice or suggesting any specific solution.
Right. Your role is to be a neutral witness,
Exactly.
not a detective or a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, give me another scenario. I'm starting to enjoy these ethical puzzles.
Okay, I like it. All right, how about this one? A signer seems confused about the document they are signing. How would you handle this situation?
So this one seems less about fraud
Yeah.
and more about protecting the signer's interests.
Mm-hmm.
They might be getting pressured into signing something they don't understand.
You're picking up on those nuances. That's exactly what the interviewer is looking for.
Oh, good.
Explain that you would pause the notarization process and express your concern to the signer.
Okay.
You could say something like, I notice you seem a bit unsure about the document. Would you like me to explain any parts of it to you?
That's a great way to open up that conversation
Right.
and make sure that they feel comfortable asking questions.
Exactly. And if they're still confused or hesitant, you could recommend that they seek clarification from legal counsel or the person who prepared the document.
So you're really advocating for their understanding
Yeah.
and protecting their rights,
Hmm.
even if it means, delaying the process.
Exactly.
What are some things to avoid in this scenario?
Don't pressure the signer to sign if they don't seem to understand what they're signing.
Okay.
And then avoid offering your own interpretation of the document or giving any legal advice.
Mhm.
Remember, you're a notary, not a lawyer.
Right. It's about respecting their autonomy and making sure that, they're making informed decisions.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's switch gears a little bit here.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about, ethics and judgment.
Mm-hmm.
But what about those, essential notary skills,
Right.
like accuracy and attention to detail?
Yeah.
What kind of questions might they ask about that?
Okay, so they might ask you to describe a time when you made a mistake at work. How did you handle it?
The dreaded mistake question.
Right.
Everyone makes mistakes,
They do.
but it's really all about how you handle it.
Absolutely.
That really matters.
Yeah. So choose a mistake that's relevant to the notary profession,
Okay.
but, not so serious that it would disqualify you from the role.
Right.
So maybe you missed a minor detail on a document
Mhm.
or you transposed some numbers or something.
Yeah.
Explain how you discovered the mistake,
Mhm.
the steps that you took to correct it, and what you learned from the experience.
So it's about, owning the mistake, taking responsibility,
Sure.
demonstrating your commitment to continuous improvement.
For sure.
What are some common pitfalls to avoid when answering this question?
Don't try to downplay or excuse your mistake.
Okay.
Own it and show that you learned from it.
Got it.
Avoid blaming others or making excuses.
Mm-hmm.
Really focus on your own actions
Okay.
and your commitment to doing better next time.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
I bet they're going to follow up with something like, what steps do you take to ensure accuracy in your work?
Oh, yeah, probably.
It's like they want to know how you prevent those mistakes from happening in the first place.
Exactly. And that's where you're really showcasing your meticulous approach to detail
Right.
and your commitment to producing error-free work.
Yeah.
So you want to describe the systems and processes that you use to double-check your work.
Okay.
For example, you might mention that you carefully review all documents before notarizing them, using a checklist to make sure you haven't missed any required information.
I love the checklist idea. It's like having a second set of eyes
Exactly.
on every document.
Yeah.
Anything else you could mention to really impress them with your attention to detail?
Talk about the importance of maintaining organized records.
Okay.
Using technology tools to streamline your workflow
Yeah.
and always being on the lookout for any potential errors.
So it's a combination of that personal diligence, but then also leveraging technology to minimize, the risk of mistakes.
Exactly.
Any pitfalls to avoid when you're talking about accuracy.
Yeah, don't be vague or make unrealistic claims.
Okay.
Avoid saying things like, I'm perfect or I never make mistakes.
Right.
It's just not believable.
Yeah.
Instead focus on the concrete steps that you take to minimize errors
Okay.
and demonstrate that commitment to accuracy.
Let's wrap up this scenario section
Okay.
with a question that gets to the heart of a notary's role in preventing fraud.
Okay. Sounds good.
So how do you contribute to the prevention of fraud and identity theft in your work as a notary?
Yeah, this one is all about highlighting your vigilance
Okay.
and your commitment to upholding the integrity of that notarization process.
So how do you answer that without sounding like you're single-handedly taking down, criminal masterminds?
Right. Start by emphasizing the importance of that careful identity verification.
Mm-hmm.
Mention that you use government-issued photo IDs,
Right.
compare signatures, and you're always on the lookout for those red flags or inconsistencies.
Yeah.
Explain that you'd never notarize a document if you had any doubts about its authenticity
Yeah.
or the signer's willingness or ability to sign such.
So it's about being proactive, observant,
Yeah.
knowing when something just doesn't feel right.
Exactly.
Any pitfalls to avoid here?
Don't make exaggerated claims about your ability to catch every instance of fraud.
Okay.
Focus on those specific steps you take to minimize the risk
Yeah.
and demonstrate your understanding of the importance of that fraud prevention.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. From difficult clients to ethical dilemmas
Right.
to technology trends, I'm feeling really prepared to tackle those interview questions.
Awesome.
But wait, there's more.
You bet. We've got one more segment coming up
Okay.
where we'll explore, questions about you, your experience, your motivations.
Right.
What makes you the perfect fit for that notary role?
Stay tuned for that final part of our Notary Interview Deep Dive. All right, welcome back to the final part of our Notary Interview Deep Dive.
Okay.
You know, we've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, we have.
From handling those tricky situations to, staying up to date on the latest laws.
Absolutely.
But now it's time to talk about you.
Okay.
Your experience, your motivations.
Right.
What makes you stand out as a candidate.
Yeah, it's all about, showcasing those unique strengths and showing them why you're the perfect fit for the role.
Exactly. And I feel like it all starts with this question that seems so simple.
Okay.
But it can really trip people up.
Yeah.
Tell me about yourself. Oh, yeah.
Where do you even begin with that?
Right. It's like an open invitation, but, think of it as your elevator pitch.
Okay.
A concise and compelling summary of your professional journey, highlighting, those experiences and skills that are relevant to being a notary.
So you're not just reciting your resume, right?
Exactly. Bring your experience to life with maybe some anecdotes or specific examples.
Okay.
That demonstrate your abilities.
Yeah.
Maybe you have a background in banking or real estate where you handled a lot of legal documents, or perhaps you volunteered at a legal aid clinic where you developed, strong communication and problem-solving skills.
Right.
Whatever it is, make it relevant and engaging.
So you're painting this picture of yourself as someone who's not only qualified,
right,
but also genuinely interested. What are some common mistakes people make when answering this question?
Rambling on and on.
It's okay.
Getting too personal, or just reciting their resume verbatim.
You want to keep it focused, professional,
Yeah.
and tailored to the notary role.
So find that sweet spot.
Yeah.
Between, showcasing your personality, but also staying relevant to the job.
For sure.
Okay. What other questions might they ask to kind of get a sense of, your experience and your motivations?
They might ask something like, why are you interested in this particular notary position?
Okay.
So this goes beyond, your general interest in being a notary. They want to know why you chose their organization specifically.
So time to do your homework.
Exactly. Research the company or organization, what are their values?
Right.
Their mission, what's their company culture like?
Yeah.
And then tailor your answer to highlight, how your skills and experience align with their specific needs and how you can contribute to their success.
Yeah, and I can see how RoleCatcher could be, a game changer here.
Oh, absolutely.
Imagine being able to quickly access information about the employer, their industry, even their competitors.
All in one place.
Yeah, it's like having a research assistant right in your pocket.
That's so cool.
Yeah, so it's all about being prepared and showing them that you're serious about the opportunity.
Okay, now here's a question that really gets to the heart of, your motivation.
Okay.
What do you find most rewarding about working as a notary public?
Yeah.
Now, this one seems pretty straightforward, but I bet there's a way to answer it that, really makes you stand out.
Absolutely. Think about what truly motivates you in this role.
Okay.
Is it the satisfaction of helping people with those important legal documents?
Right.
The meticulous nature of the work, the feeling of, upholding the integrity of those legal processes.
Yeah.
Whatever it is, be genuine and let your passion shine through.
So it's not about giving, a canned answer.
Right.
It's about sharing what truly excites you about this profession.
Exactly. Avoid generic or superficial answers.
Okay.
They want to see your authentic self and what drives you. So we're nearing the end of the interview.
Okay.
And there's one question that always seems to come up.
All right.
Do you have any questions for me?
Yeah.
It seems like such a formality, but I bet it's more important than people realize.
It is. It's your chance to show that you're engaged, you're curious, that you're proactive.
So always have a few, thoughtful questions prepared.
Right.
What kind of questions would you recommend?
Ask about the specific responsibilities of the role.
Okay.
The team you'd be working with, the company's culture, opportunities for professional development.
Yeah.
You could even ask, about the interviewer's experience with the organization.
Oh, that's smart.
Or their insights into, the future of the notary profession.
That shows you're interested in more than just the paycheck.
Exactly.
You're thinking about, the team, the culture, the future of the profession. Okay.
And remember, even after you've landed the job, RoleCatcher can be a valuable tool throughout your notary career. It can help you stay up to date on those industry trends.
Okay.
Explore different career paths within the field.
Mm-hmm.
Even identify potential mentors or collaborators.
It's like having that personal guide
Yeah.
to navigate your notary journey.
Speaking of guidance as you embark on this path,
Yes.
always remember the importance of ethics and integrity.
Right.
You know, your signature and your seal, they represent accuracy, the rule of law, and the public trust.
It's not just a job.
Yeah.
It's a responsibility.
Exactly. Approach it with diligence and, a deep sense of purpose.
You've got this.
You do.
You've covered so much in this deep dive.
We have.
From, tackling those tough interview questions to embracing the future of the profession.
Right.
You're well equipped to ace that interview.
You are.
And embark on a rewarding career as a notary.
I think so.
Remember, with the right preparation,
Mm-hmm.
a positive attitude, and RoleCatcher in your corner, you can achieve anything you set your mind to.
Absolutely. Now go out there and make your mark.
We're rooting for you, Laura.